It only took him half a second to put you to sleep. I'm pretty sure that your protections are better than mine in that department. That alone would be enough to take us all out. But I've heard he has a whole arsenal of other spells in his pocket. So what? Does that mean we should all just bow down to him because and become his lackeys? When did I ever say something like that? Well, I'm saying that we don't have enough information to make any viable strategies against him at this point. Until we find some weakness to his magic, some weakness to the magic of his, we should be grateful for the time Barry's bought us with this trade, however long it may last. Maybe you're right. Hopefully the time Barry's bought us will be enough to find out Aiden's weakness. I think we should stop finding Aiden's weakness and trying to figure out how to stay away from him at all times. Kate, I say, do you have a minute? Kate is looking at me confused. Of course, she says finally. Then she follows me outside the cave. As we make our way out, Darren winks at me and gives me a thumbs up. Really? Leave it to Darren to completely misinterpret this kind of situation. Sometimes I wonder if he ever understands body language at all. I'm going to ask you directly, I tell Kate once we reach the cave's entrance. What is the beacon of hope? She pauses for a second and then looks at me straight in the eye. How do you know about the beacon? She asked me. Aiden told us you're a survivor from the place shortly after attacking Darren. He wouldn't give us any details though. He said we should ask you personally. So what is it then? It's complicated. No doubt there's no need to tell me the full story. A short summary will do. Do you really have nothing better to do than to meddle in my personal affairs? If it were just a matter of privacy, then I wouldn't have brought it up, but it's not, is it? You've been hiding things ever since we met first. It was the same when I asked you about the robed men Aiden is looking for. I'm asking you because I don't want this secrecy of ours to end up killing us all. It won't. How can we be so sure? She looks away for a second. It just won't. She pauses. I'm not planning to keep this a secret forever. It's just that this isn't the right time. I promise I will make things clear in due time. Now that's all you wanted to discuss with me. I'm going back to sleep. She heads back into the cave, but I do not follow her. Instead, I lie down on my back against the cave's outer wall and start to collect my thoughts. A lot has happened since I joined this tournament. People are dying left and right. The organizers are not even bothering to give us an objective, and do top it all off with there's a Stillwater. What could he possibly look to achieve by joining a tournament like this? What is his purpose? As I sit there and thinking, I suddenly hear a woman scream coming from far in the distance. At the same time, I get a warning message floating in front of my eyes, telling me to not hurt her because she's one of the locals. So are we supposed to protect them as well or something? I think we're just supposed to not fuck with them. That's right? I don't think there's a message to like, don't... I mean, she's screaming. I'm guessing someone's attacking her. But I think we should just stay back, not meddle in these affairs, I'm guessing. Also, that is a curious thing, isn't it? Like, they're locals, right? So why the fuck, you know, the guys that organize this tournament, they don't even care about getting normal people involved in this tournament of mages. So why the fuck are they so protective of the locals? That's interesting. That is interesting. Maybe we should save her. Normally I would be like, no, we shouldn't save her. But maybe if we do save her, then the tournament people would be interested because they are protecting the local people. So we know that much at least. I have no idea how big this thing is. Apparently there's plenty of chapters, like a lot of them, but I'm not 100% on that because this is apparently drawn from a book called Magium or something. I'm not 100% on that though. Although she's pretty far away from here, judging by the faint traces of magic that are coming from her direction, it is safe to assume that she's being attacked by monsters. They don't seem to be very big or particularly powerful, so we're likely talking about a handful of goblins. The rule of the tournaments are a bit hazy on what would happen if we were to save one of the locals from a monster attack. The general rule is to not intervene at all in the affairs of the people of Arathia, but it is not being enforced through a spell, like the rule that prevents us from directly hurting them, for example. From a logical perspective, it would be less risky to not intervene. There's no way to know for certain that taking an action here would not get me banned from the tournament. But then the woman screamed again, this time louder and sounding more terrified. I think we should head for her rescue just in case, you know, just as the reason I just gave. Also, if we end up getting banned from the tournament, that would be great. We actually would save us our life, and we could just, you know, get out of here and do some normal stuff and live a normal life, even though our dream is to become a mage, but that's highly unlikely. So let's call Darren and head for rescue. This is the time to worry about the tournament's regulation. That woman's life is in danger. We need to act now. Darren, come quick. What's wrong? One of the locals is being attacked by a group of goblins nearby. If we hurry, we can make it in time to rescue her. Darren gets a serious look on her face and grabs his sword. Let's go, he says. He follows me as I head in the direction where I heard the scream. As we get closer, the monster's magical auras intensify. There's 4 of them and they have the woman surrounded, but it doesn't seem like they've drawn blood yet. When we finally get into visual range of the attackers, my suspicions get confirmed. They're goblins, alright. Violent, hideous creature, not taller than 4 feet, with fangs instead of teeth, crooked noses, pointy ears, and green skin. Despite their appearances, goblins are quite intelligent, are usually organized in clans with clearly defined hierarchies, unlike most other monster races. They're also smart enough to make and use tools as well as weapons and armor. Ancient language check failed because that would require level 3. There's no way I could have gotten that. As soon as they see us, one of them yells something to his allies in a language I don't understand. And then they all quickly make themselves scarce. Oh, they didn't fight. That's interesting. Maybe they're getting back up or something. Visibly, they were not prepared for an actual fight. After the goblins are gone, I turn around to make sure that the woman we just saved isn't hurt in any way. Now that I get a good look at her, I am briefly stunned by just how beautiful she is. She has long auburn hair, a thin waist, and a warm smile, while her facial features are soft and feminine, unlike those of Kate, and her light brown eyes radiate kindness. She is wearing an auburn dress to make... is that how you read it? Auburn? I'm guessing. A dress to match her hair. She appears to be somewhere in her mid-20s. The woman is now bowing elegantly before us as gestures of gratitude. Thank you all so much for your help, she says. I don't know what I would have done without you. My name is Rose. Pleased to meet you. All in a day's work. You were lucky that we managed to make it in time. No problem. We love helping people. We also accept donations. All in a day's work. I tell her. Oh, she says, smiling playfully. I take it then that the reason you've joined the tournament is to help the people in need. Well, I don't mind Barry, Darren says. He just likes to boast in front of pretty ladies. As you may have guessed, we are just some participants in the mage tournament that happened to be close by and heard your screams. I'm sure anyone else in your position would have done the same. You're being too modest, Mr. Swordsman. Many others would have likely hesitated to help me due to the tournament's rule of non-interference. That is to say, if they'd have even been tempted to help me in the first place, I would have liked to repay you for your kindness, but I did not bring any money with me since I was afraid I might run into robbers. If I may ask, Kate interrupts, what were you doing all alone in the middle of the wilderness? Well, Miss Kate, says Kate as she points towards herself. Why would you point toward yourself? It's obvious. She then curtly points towards me, and then Darren gives Roses our name as well. Rose smiles and then she continues. Miss Kate, I was out here looking for some very rare herbs that only grow in this area of the continent. There's been an outbreak of oil drip in my hometown. What the hell is an oil drip? And as an herbalist, I can recognize the plants that are needed for the cure. I'm sorry, what's an oil drip? Yeah. Oh, I did not know this disease does not exist outside of our continent. Doctors are unsure of its cause, but what happens is that the patients sweat because sweat becomes as thick as oil. Ew. And they get a very high fever with violent coughing. Some of us have a natural immunity to it, but those that are not so lucky get quarantined somewhere and left there to die on their own. The only cure we know for this disease is extracted from the very rare plants that I have come here to collect. But why are you the one that came here to collect the herbs? Do you have like members of your family that are infected? Why didn't you at least hire some bodyguards to go with you? Oh no, my family is fine, thank the gods. I came here because all the sick are too poor to afford the money to send anyone to collect the herbs for them. And I did not have the money to hire bodyguards to come with me either. I'm no doctor, but I volunteer to help tend to the sick as often as I can. With the help of our grand priest, the number of sick people increases every day. He was the last person in our town that knew how to create food using magic. He can create food? Holy shit, wait. That changes shit. Because food creation, I was thinking like, depends on what type of mage world you're talking about. Most mage worlds are like, well, not really. Very few are like Avatar, right? You bend the elements that already exist using your mana or whatever. Is a truck standing outside? What the fuck? Anyway, so that's how they manipulate their mana to manipulate the elements in the world. But most worlds is like you create something. But for the most part, I don't really care too much for water and stuff because I wasn't paying too much attention. But creating food is way more complex than just creating water. I mean, creating water, don't get me wrong, would be extremely complex. That would require the application of what was it called? 1 minus 1 equal to 0, so 0 equals to 1 minus 1, or 1 plus bracketed minus 1 parentheses. So that's the concept, that something from nothing concept needs to be applied. So creating something as basic as water would be insanely difficult, not to mention creating food. Fucking hell. As much as he tried, he did not succeed in teaching his craft to any of his disciples. Many people are starting to get poisoned because of eating the wrong berries from the forest. Others are dying of starvation, and that has resorted to cannibalism or animal hunting. She pauses for a bit to bring herself to say the words that were on her tongue. Animal hunting. She finishes her phrase. What's the problem with animal hunting? Wait, so it's true that your continent is forbidden to hunt animals? Says Darren, shocked. It was. There was a time when each city in Varathia had at least 10 people that knew how to create food out of nothing by using magic. The skill was taught to them by the creator, and they taught it to the disciple as well as they could. But those that could pick up the skill were very rare and talented individuals. Since the very foundation of Varathia 600 years ago, all the cities relied heavily on the creators to find these talented individuals, teach them this craft. But then the creator simply disappeared about 100 years ago, and the number of people that still knew the food. Yeah, we got some information out of her, so this was a good bet. That still knew the food making craft started to dwindle. The risk of asking something obvious. Who is the creator? Asked Darren. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot how little information about it reaches the other continents. The creator was the founder of our civilization. Everything we are today, we owe to him. He and the spirit protector of all animals, the great golden fox, decided together 600 years ago to end all war and hunger, uniting the human and animal kingdoms, leading them into an age of prosperity, peace and prosperity. They taught both humans and animals how to create what they needed with magic, and thus eliminated the need for war, conflict, food, water, warmth, shelter. Every one of those things could be obtained through magical means. From what I hear, it must have been a paradise. That sounds fucking ridiculously amazing. I mean, humans would still fight. Don't get me wrong. We will always fight because you know, you will get bored, you know, without fucking anything to do. You just fucking get bored. So it's understandable that humans would definitely fight, even if that one. They would fight for petty things like sex and like this, that, and the other thing. That would be ridiculous, but it is what it is. Okay. Why did the creator disappear, and how did the creator live so long? Fucking hell. I'm guessing magic. And why would she know why the creator disappeared anyway? So let's go with how did creator live so long? How did the creator live so long? How did the creator live so long? From what you're telling us, he must have lived at least a few hundred years. Yes. That is one of the reasons why there are more and more people that don't even believe in his existence anymore. It's already been a long time since he disappeared and didn't really show himself to many people before either. It was mostly only members of the royal family that got to see him. There are many that say the creator was simply an invention of the kings, and that they are using his disappearance as an excuse in order to keep the power to create food for themselves. And in some of the cities, these group of people have started rebelling against the kingdom and are on the brink of civil war. She pauses. But I must be boring you with all these stories. I thank you all again from the bottom of my heart for rescuing me back there. I only wish there was something I could offer you in return. Darren grins. Why is he grinning? Well, you'll have time to think about that on your way home, because we're coming with you. What? Says Kate. Sounds like a great idea. Don't you think you should consult us because making such a... Nah, let's go. I mean, we could probably go back to our hometown and maybe we won't get attacked there, but we'll see. Sounds like a great idea. You too? Kate asked me, disappointed. Well, it's not like we have anything to do until they give us our objective, I tell her. And we'll probably be safer in one of the cities than out here in the wild, where we keep getting attacked every few hours. Didn't you say yourself that you don't have any specific leads to the whereabouts of the friend you're looking for right now? I suppose, but then it's settled, says Darren enthusiastically. No, Kate says. Nothing settled. I never said I agree with this. Please listen to me, Rose interrupts. Darren, I really appreciate what you're trying to do, but I do not want you to fight your friends over it. Trust me, I'll be fine. I know I may have seemed like just one of them, just the chick is fucking democracy, 1 and 2, like done. Voted out. It'll be fine. I know I may have seemed like I didn't know what I was doing back there, but in reality I walked these roads by myself before. I purposely avoided all areas that are frequented by monsters or bandits, and they have plenty of research ahead of time. The only reason I ran into those goblins was because they were a rogue group far away from any other goblin encampment. It won't happen again. Be quiet for a second, Kate says. Do you hear that? Now that she's mentioning, I can hear a faint whistling, although I don't recognize the tone. It's getting closer. Suddenly the music stops just as the whistler gets in the visual range of us. The three of them, weapon enchanters by the look of them, they seem cleaner than Cutthroat's Dave's group. I didn't get nothing. I didn't have put stats in for that. I have observation and hearing. How did I not hear that? He heard it before me. Fucking hell. It again and again throws me on the top. I hate that shit. Where were we?